Hey y'all, welcome back. So I want to read something today in 1 Nephi 22. I really should be doing more of my Come Follow Me, but I'm just really fascinated with 1 Nephi, and it feels good. It feels good to be reading the Book of Mormon in chronological order, and I don't apologize for that. It just feels nice. So he's talking about the gathering of Israel, and primarily he's talking about how, you know, the house of Israel will be nursed and lifted up by the Gentiles. It's a really fascinating concept because, you know, throughout the 15 to, I don't know, you want to say 1800s, certainly didn't seem like the Gentiles were doing much lifting up of other nations, right? Not gonna sidestep that one. It certainly feel like there's an idea they wanted to conquer the entire world, and I think in a lot of ways the Earth is, this is the kind of stuff that gets you canceled. But I really think like the Earth is not in a bad place because like there are certain aspects of Western European culture that permeated throughout the world. I don't think that the atrocities that were done were great, but in the time since, it certainly has felt like there has been a lot done, especially in restoring the Jews to the land of Israel, that a lot has been done to kind of rectify or improve upon things that were done in the past. But since I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated by the gathering of Israel. I think it's unfortunately, one of the unique doctrines of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's right there in the scriptures that it's going to happen. But, you know, if you ask anyone of any other Christian faith, like, how is this going to happen? It's just like, oh, either there wouldn't be an answer, and I don't want to put words in the mouths of people of other faiths. It would just be like, oh, you know, God does what he does. Like, okay, like, but, I just thought this was a cool verse in 1 Nephi 22, this verse 4. And, you know, remember, Nephi lived at a time early, or probably like toward the latter end of the 600 BC range. So he was probably born around, I don't know, let's posit a guess, probably around like 620 BC. So about 100 years prior to that. I don't have my don't have like the chronological order of things in the back of the Bible dictionary, but about 100 years removed from when the 10 tribes in the northern kingdom were taken captive. Okay, and so that's kind of where these words are coming from, as he would have been possibly his dad's dad, or maybe his Lehi's grandfather was the first-hand witness of some of the things that happened, right? So 1 Nephi 22:4 says, "Behold, there are many who are already lost from the knowledge of those who are at Jerusalem." And being at Jerusalem is different than being in the city of Jerusalem. At Jerusalem just kind of means like in the region. So the people that were still living in that region, which included Nephi's family, there are many who are already lost from their knowledge. Yea, the more part of all the tribes have been led away, and they are scattered to and fro upon the isles of the sea, and whither they are, none of us knoweth, save we know that they have been led away. And how interesting it is that even 100 years removed from when the destruction of the northern kingdom and the 10 tribes there, that they were carried away and lost, the lost tribes, that even 100 years after, like, nobody had a clue where they were scattered to. And we know that President Nelson, he said the gathering of Israel will be the greatest miracle that has ever taken place in the history of the world. And I might not have that quote verbatim, but it resonated so strongly with me because it is such an enigma. Like, how could this possibly be done? Like, no one could possibly know where these people are. And there's books that suggest that maybe there's some tribes like on other planets, or under the, living in caves in the Arctic, or under the water. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is I'm so grateful for the spirit of revelation. And if you don't believe that the Spirit can teach things that are not known, then there's really no, like, my beliefs are not compatible with your beliefs, right? Because I believe that the Spirit has the ability to reveal things that nobody on earth knows without additional physical evidence to support it. And the reason why I say that is, you know, I talked in a previous video about getting my patriarchal blessing, and you know, I have some thoughts on, you know, the worth of that knowledge of what tribe I'm from and what that means anything specific for me, but just the fact that it can be revealed. Somebody that has absolutely no knowledge of me, no knowledge, doesn't have my genealogy in front of them dating back to you know, Joseph in Egypt, that somebody with no knowledge of me can say with a clear conscience that the Spirit has revealed unto him the tribe that I'm from. And that's miraculous to me, like that I can be part of the gathering and know it in my heart too, not just know it because somebody else said it and, you know, I just trust them because they're old. Like that I can also know that thing is true. And in the years that have gone by, I've always, like when I was on my mission, I was pleading with people to get baptized because I wanted them to know their lineage. You know, I served in a very multicultural area of Texas, and so it would posit, I could only posit a guess that all the tribes were there in abundance in some form or fashion. And I was, you know, it's one of those things, you're never really privileged to stick around long enough after a baptism to find out, you know, what tribe somebody's, you know, it takes a little bit of time for they kind of prepare for a patriarchal blessing, etc. But what I can say is that at least in the church at large, that all of the tribes have been identified. And it does talk about the North countries and some of these other places in the Middle East and, you know, especially the Isles of the Sea, that I believe in Russia that all 12 tribes have been identified. There have been conferences where, and again, this might be like Mormon lore or like a, you know, faith promoting rumor, but that one of the apostles or in Area 70 or 70 listed off the tribes and asked people to stand, and all 12 tribes were represented. That's not a small thing. That is just simply not a small thing. To know that the gathering of Israel is literally happening and we get to play a role in it. And I was privileged to go out into the world and invite people to come unto Christ and receive the restored gospel in preparation for the Lord's sacred return and the 1,000-year millennial reign that he will live physically on the earth with us, that just gets kind of glossed over. Even in our faith. There will come a time before I go wherever it is that the Father resides, that on this planet right here, that this earth will be celestialized, and I will get to live with Jesus Christ of Nazareth for 1,000 years, or at least I hope that I will. That's not a small thing, and in that time there will be roles for each of the tribes that probably stem from, you know, our intelligences that always have been and always will be the sacred, you know, eternal gifts based on the makeup, the composition of our intelligence, and not in terms of like, you know, knowledge, but just in terms of like what we are that makes us us. That there are attributes that are uniquely mine, that, you know, as well as poor habits that are uniquely mine that God didn't force me to have, that are just innately part of who I am and what I am, that I'm striving to overcome through the atonement of Jesus Christ. And it's just such a miraculous and powerful thing. And I'm grateful to know that gathering is happening right now, that it wasn't happening in Nephi's time, very much not happening. Even the fact that they went to the New World, no one knew that happened, and there are people outside of our faith that think that is not true, that just simply didn't happen. I'm grateful to know that did happen, and in our day, that those tribes are being restored into one. And we've reached a tipping point where we're going to see. You know, I just see it in the past couple of years. I'm very, unfortunately, connected to the internet, and just seeing the things that are happening in Africa, the growth of the church, and not just like casual growth, like the expansive growth, like weekend after weekend, hundreds and hundreds of people getting baptized in some of these places. That I want to say somewhere, Helaman chapter 3, even the high priests were astonished beyond measure. Like that we're getting, maybe not in your little town here in America, but in places in the world, the gathering is happening in real time in an abundant fashion. And I'm just so grateful to be living, even if I currently am not playing as big of a role as some others that are in other countries that are getting to play while, full-time missionaries, that I get to be an active spectator in that. And I give praise to the Lord my God for that. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.